second implication of this is that there is no inherent subject on a participle. You'll recall from the intensive and from other videos that the subject is inherent in, say, a perfect form because the independent personal pronoun, which stands as a reference to the subject, is actually contracted and attached to the verbal root. And that affix, that contracted pronoun, the affix, functions as the subject of the verb, which tells you person, gender, and number. Well, with participles, you only get gender and number. So it's like a noun or an adjective in that way. But you do not get person. You do not get person. And so, the participle does not have an inherent subject. You just know the gender and the number, but you don't know the person. And so, along with the adjective, in just about every case, you will have an explicit subject identified. So, for instance, from the Shema, the Deuteronomy 6, verse 6, Vehayu ha-devarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavcha. Right? Metzavcha is a PL participle from the root tsadi vav he. Metzavcha, it's got a second masculine singular suffix on it, you. Anochi metzavcha. Okay, so when you have metzavcha, you just know that it's a masculine form and that it's singular. But you don't know if it's a masculine person speaking in the first person. You don't know if it's another person speaking, or you don't know if it's him, right? You have no idea. There's no person. So there is an explicit subject given, anochi, I. So Moses, as the speaker, identifies himself as the one who is commanding, that I am commanding you. So you'll have that subject given with it. And finally, as I already said, the third implication is that there's no explicit person identified in the participle forms. So I want to just show you the four forms, taking these endings, the adjective or noun endings, and applying them to one root, which is the root he lamed kaf, which means to go or to walk. So you may recall, let me just go over these endings quick. Masculine singular noun or adjective endings, there is no ending. So it's just the three-letter root that has the unique participle vocal pattern, but without an ending. So if it doesn't have an ending, like it is with almost every other masculine singular thing, right? The third masculine singular affix form does not have an affix. The masculine singular nouns don't have an ending. Masculine singular adjectives don't have a specific ending. That's kind of just standard procedure for biblical Hebrew. But the masculine plural ending is im, hirek yod mem, im, which you'll recall. Sus, odsus, susim, right? Feminine singular has two different options in the participle. One is the comets he, that's the most common adjective ending or noun ending. And then there's another somewhat unique form for the participle, which is the segol tav ending, et. And usually there will also be another segol between the second and third root letters. So, for instance, you'll have, whereas the masculine singular is holech, the feminine singular might be holechet, et, holechet. We hear that et ending. That's a feminine singular ending. And finally, the feminine plural noun or adjective ending is ot. Ot. Para, od para, parot. Parot. Okay, so here we have our root, he lamed kaf, and I'll just illustrate for you in a different color all the endings for these when it actually interacts with a root. These will all be in the pa'al, or the kal. And so the participle vocal pattern in the pa'al, kal, is holem vav between the first and second root letter. That's your dominant one. And you remember later on, the farther the closer you get to the end of the word, the less consistent the vowels are. So in the in the masculine singular form, you'll usually have a tsere between the second and third root letter. But you won't necessarily have that between the other forms. So holem vav and a tsere, we'll put our shava in here, holech or holech. Okay? The feminine also has the holem there. That's going to be consistent throughout. And here this will close and you get a comet's hay. Holcha. Holcha. That's one option. Another option for the feminine singular is this unique segol tav ending, holechet. Holechet. He holechet, she is walking, or she walks. Okay, the masculine plural, you got your holem, closing the syllable, and then you got your masculine plural ending, im, holchim, holchim. Okay, and finally, feminine plural, still have your holem between the first and second root letters, closing this as well, and you get your feminine plural ending, ot, holchot, holchot. So you can see what's consistent here is the holem, right? In every case, you've got your holem between the first and second root letters. In the masculine singular form, you have your tsere, which is closing out the last syllable, and then you have the other unique forms, often with a shava, leading into the final syllable with the plural, or here in the feminine singular. So that's just a general overview of participles. In the next two videos, I'll go into a little bit more depth on specific parts, either how to identify them by their form or how to translate them.